Welcome everybody, we are back on our coverage of the Qatar Masters. This is the final of the finals.
Yeah, this is the final segment. The two heroes of the tournament, I think it will be very fair to say this,
Absolutely.
facing off in a tiebreak for the first prize and the title of the winner of the Qatar Open 2015.
Yep.
Magnus Carlsen will be playing the white pieces in the first out of the first set of 2 blitz games against Yu Yangyi. The time control is 5 minutes plus 3-second increment after each move. If the first set of 2 games will be drawn 1-1, they will play another set exactly like this one. And if this one is also drawn, they will start playing single games. And the moment one of those single games is decisive, the match is over, and the winner of that game is the winner of the tournament. I hope this is clear.
Yeah.
We still don't have the game active on ChessBase, so for now we will be going off what we see on the screen. Yeah. And as soon as it appears, we will bring up the board to perhaps show some variations. Although the game being as fast as it is, I'm not sure.
Okay, and we are told though this is the live game actually, so we can't actually move it. But
d4 knight f6 bishop f4.
And Grishchuk making his appearance.
Opening strikes again.
All right, let's see what he has prepared against it. He plays a quick d5. Okay.
So far, there's not really very much to discuss. This is a variation aimed solely at achieving a reasonably unknown position you can just play, something Magnus always excelled at. e6, bishop d, knight f3, I'm sorry, not bishop d3 first.
Yeah, a normal approach for the world champion, I think, also to sidestep theory.
a6. This is already slightly offbeat. I'm not sure what this move is about. Perhaps Black is waiting to decide on his next approach. He could switch to. It might find it useful if for instance, White plays c4, but Magnus goes bishop d3, and generally after bishop d3, it will feel in some positions that this is not necessary. c5, c3, of course, White wants to preserve the bishop on d3 on the b1, h7 diagonal. This is very, very important. And Black normally plays something like knight c6, bishop d6 here.
Yeah, you definitely want to trade off this bishop on f4, which is
but
it's kind of dangerous.
Yeah, but it's bishop generally retreats to g3, and Black is invited to take on g3, improving White's structure.
Right.
And if he doesn't do it immediately, White will, on occasion, play knight e5. For instance, here after castles, I expect Magnus to go knight e5.
So knight e5 already in this position is something that we can expect.
I think it's a very, very standard reaction here, trying to occupy this square, perhaps support the knight later by f2, f4, and start a kingside attack.
It's a pretty standard idea in these positions. What else can we think of here from Magnus?
Well, you can castle, or I mean, playing for the queenside castling, which you sometimes see in these lines.
And do so knight e5.
Yeah, knight e5. Yeah, I thought that was the most likely choice from Magnus. Knight c6, c7 is.
Yu Yangyi's quick response actually transferring to f5, I would guess.
Yeah, that's generally the point. Black plans to play knight f5, b5, bishop b7 on the other side of the board as well. So. It's actually quite harmonious from Black, and he plays b6, perhaps not wanting to give a target to play a4 against.
Right, a more solid development, I would say, than...
Bishop h4 is an idea, but I think Black can play knight g6, and he is quite comfortable doing that. So Magnus now has to come up with a plan.
He does play bishop h4.
He does play bishop h4.
We expected the move here knight g6 with the idea that any recapture really is
But I think he wants to take on f6, and after queen f6 he will play f4, and he got rid of the bad bishop. I think this must be why he played bishop h4.
Some kind of stone wall followed with queen h5, for example.
It doesn't really matter what you do after. It's just it matters a great deal that you got rid of the one bad piece you had in the structure. You would want to play f4 immediately instead of bishop h4, but then the bishop on g3 is completely useless. So you start by doing this. You prompt Black to react to it somehow, and then you trade it off, and you play a stone wall. I would actually maybe consider with Black playing knight g6 and taking with the g-pawn.
Yeah, so it's forcing the knight
to come. Yeah, it's not a decision. You cannot take on g6. It makes no sense whatsoever. So you play knight f3, and Black plays something like bishop b7, and just
instead of that
continues normally.
Yu Yangyi put the knight on f5, which changes things quite a bit.
Yeah, that is different because now...
Well, e3 is under attack in the end of the variation. For example, if I take...
Yeah, queen takes, now you can no longer play f4, so this is interesting.
Yeah, he could take on f5, which changes the structure a great deal. And after pawn takes...
And now we need to look for a good move for white here.
Yeah.
Perhaps you could maybe make an argument for... No, I wanted to go c4, but I think after c takes d4, I can't really find a... I thought knight c6, but queen c7 is very awkward.
Okay, yeah, this poor decision here.
Yeah, I thought this is maybe interesting for white, but I don't think this is particularly strong.
Yeah.
Maybe takes queen f3?
Takes queen f3, threatening some pawns, but I can go bishop e6.
Bishop e6, I guess, is very solid here.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks solid enough, I would say, in this position.
Yeah, it doesn't look bad at all for black.
No.
And if black is given some moves, he might consider playing, let's say, h6 and g5, untying himself in this fashion.
Right. So yeah, it's an important decision here for Magnus on which pieces to actually take off the board.
He's down to 3 minutes against 3.5 for his opponent, but it's the first real decision he has to face in this game, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. What other options? No, nothing
Well,
much.
I think having played bishop h4, you need...
I was thinking about bishop g5, but I didn't see the big difference.
Yeah, I'm wondering what the idea after h6 is, whether he just wants to play bishop f4 actually and return it to that diagonal after winning some time. Could be a a cute maneuver, which I'm not sure it makes such a great deal of improvement. That sentence didn't come out right, but maybe he probably didn't like the other options. Right? Yeah, and he just he keeps the position alive. And after h6, I think the way to justify this is to play bishop f4. I'm not sure there is much else.
Yeah, I'm starting to think about g5 is too much.
Maybe take on f6 and go e4. We could check maybe this for a second.
Well, what is the difference between...
I don't know, but just as a general idea. But maybe c takes d4 is very strong here.
C takes...
But I have knight g4, wait. I have knight g4 here.
Knight g4...
So he goes bishop f4, so we can abandon this line of thought.
Yeah, in which... it's more to his style. I think he
I expect bishop b7, but maybe the idea is in some positions to go g4, g5. Now that we have a target on the king side, I can imagine white actually playing g4, g5 in some situations.
Even right away? I was actually even thinking of playing g5 here for black.
But then knight c6 I think is very strong. I think it's easy to miss actually that after g5 white plays knight c6, trades on d6, and returns the knight to e5, and black has ruined his structure on the king side for nothing. For nothing at all. Yeah. So I think that would be
very unfortunate for black's position.
That would be very advantageous for white. I think bishop b7 is the most normal move here, or something like maybe queen c7. Although I don't really see why you need this.
This queen there, yeah.
Yeah.
He plays bishop
b7, and here I'm curious about g4, g5.
Yeah, we can just take a look. G4, and
he goes h3. He goes the more conservative route to. Now he has a h2 square to retreat to if black plays g5.
And in a blitz game, I think h3 is really nice. You can play it quickly. It makes a lot of sense for your bishop, and you can always play g4 even stronger later now that g4 is reinforced.
Yes. A non-committal move, which makes a lot of sense in the situation Magnus is in here.
And also, I've always found it difficult to find a move for black in this kind of position.
You can
make moves, but I don't know how they improve the position.
Yes, it's now a very stable situation for both sides, but I think it's easier to see what potential plans are for white than they are for black.
Right.
If you get g4, bishop g3, and the bishop on g3 is no longer feels as pointless as it would have been earlier, and then you can start pushing on the king side. And white's structure on the queen side is so solid here that creating counterplay on that flank is not that easy. He goes bishop e7, I think.
Yeah, I think that's what he played.
Freeing up the d6 square for the knight. I think that's the idea of the move. He wants to meet g4, potential g4 with knight d6.
Yeah.
And Magnus goes a4.
Playing on both flanks.
Improving his situation on the queen side as well. Knight d6 anyway. If white plays a5, black has c4. So this is not an idea right now. And he probably also wants to, f3, this is what I was going to say, that stopping knight e4 is probably a very sensible idea. It's not so much that white wants to play e4, at least in the immediate future, that he wants to stop black from landing on e4 with one of his knights. Knight d7.
Yeah, you're trying to create some more threats, and Magnus Carlsen is really picking up the pace. He's playing quite fast. Yu Yangyi down considerable amount of time, 30 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, 30 seconds in context of a blitz game is a lot.
The increment exists, it's 3 seconds per move, but it takes a while to...
Yeah, but objectively black's position I think is quite fine, but there's a lot of play left, and Magnus is doing well on the clock.
extremely well. Already over a minute advantage on the clock.
Yeah, it has to be mentioned that he is, of course, by far the fresher of the two, with Yu Yang-Yi winning a very difficult and a very long game against Wesley So, whereas Magnus played a short game and went back home to rest.
All right, well, alternatively for Yang, he really needs to make a move. I mean, he spent already over 30 seconds here.
But this is the problem with playing a long classical game and then playing blitz. You don't really understand that you don't have enough time to think about things. And he actually returns to f6, which I find curious. I would play something like slightly, even bishop h2 is what I expected Magnus to do, sidestepping all the knight h5 shenanigans and sort of passing the move over to black yet again.
Rook
e8. Yeah, you could start thinking about expanding on the king side already here.
G4,
H4, but also, playing against somebody who has 30 seconds left, you perhaps don't really want to sharpen the position too much.
You want to just keep it alive a little bit longer, let him use more time.
Yeah.
Let him get to 10 seconds before you do that.
Yeah, Rook AC1 is a bit of a waiting move. And black at some point could think about starting expansion on the queen side with C4 and B5, but that makes white's play in the center much easier, of course.
And after A5, well, you do prevent this idea of putting the bishop back, which I think was possible for Magnus.
But it also kills off potential black counterplay on the king side very drastic. Yeah, and G4
makes a lot of sense.
Very nice to see Magnus correcting everything before pushing the clock. Some people don't do that, but that's what you're supposed to do if your pieces drop when you make a move. You don't start your opponent's clock. Rook F8. Yeah, it seems like now with white having much more space, it should be a pleasant position for him. Queen G2.
Yeah.
Knight D7 and.
It doesn't seem like black's achieved anything in the past.
Yeah, black hasn't really made any kind of a progress, but his position is still very, very solid. So
okay, F4 comes in, and I like it now that the knight has left the F6 square. You don't have knight E4, which
it's now very, very concrete, and probably playing something like, but you can't really play F6.
Yun has 7 seconds on the clock, from what I can see.
Yeah, and he just plays Rook C8 here, which is a very calm move considering the situation he finds himself in.
He's pretty much living on increment, and increment's only 3 seconds per move.
Rook C1 maybe, just continuing to improve.
Yeah, Rook C1 is what he plays. Why not? Play it quickly.
C takes D4, E takes D4 has been played. Maybe
not really a move
he
wanted to play.
If he wanted to go, he can't really go Knight C4. I thought he could, but he cannot. Bishop A8, but if he plays Knight C4, which now is legal, white will just play Knight DF3, and it just improves white's position. And also, you can probably you can start playing G5.
Let's go. Yeah.
H takes, F takes. You cannot take because you will lose a piece after Knight takes D7 and Queen takes G5. So he goes Knight E5, Bishop E5. This is now objectively, I think, a very, very dangerous position for black.
Well, you still can't take on G5. Knight C4 was played.
Yeah, taking in Bishop E4 is the most obvious solution, but maybe you can even just go Knight F3 here. Because you don't really want to include, Knight F3. Positionally, it's much, much better because you want the bishop on A8 to be out of play. Knight E5, and just taking with a knight actually, and playing something like Rook
takes, okay.
Yeah, Magnus doesn't want to calculate. But Knight E5 and Queen G4 was also very promising.
And G6 is also a strong idea in this position.
Yeah, Bishop D6, Rook just, but also even here, Queen G4. Queen G4 looks very, very strong here. You might be winning if you play Queen G4.
Queen G4, this bishop on A8 is just completely dead for the attack. I like Queen G4.
But also just retreating to E2, you will win, I think, eventually. Your position is just so dominant that you don't want to sacrifice anything.
Rook E2, keeping the attack for free.
Yeah, G6 and,
Knight E5, I guess.
H5 or Queen G4. Any of these moves.
G7 was pretty quickly played. Yang is doing relatively better on the clock, but still, it's only less than 20 seconds.
And his position is
really bad. This bishop on A8 is really not participating in the defense.
Yeah, you can play H4, and after Rook H8, even Rook takes E6 comes into serious consideration in many cases. So this position is. Yeah, H4 has been played, Rook H8. I have a feeling Rook E6 is winning here. I don't know if Magnus wants to involve himself with it, but
why not? It
I have a feeling it's very strong. Black has to take and play Queen E8.
But then you take on
but there's Queen E3 check. You do need to be sure, but he does go for Rook E6.
Rook E6, very nice.
If you don't take, you're just completely lost. You absolutely need to take because otherwise you're down a pawn and white will just crash through.
Yeah, Queen D7 doesn't work because of Rook takes G6. So
he takes Queen E6. He has to play Queen E8 here. White can also start with Queen F6 checks, which could be useful here actually. But he just takes
just
on
takes queen e3 check is
and rook
rook
f2, I guess, or
rook c6.
he rook c6, but then queen e4.
Yeah, queen e5 takes, rook takes e5, knight takes e5. Sorry, and that's pretty much all she wrote in this position.
After rook h4, which is what Yuengi played. I mean, the position after knight c6 is winning. Also, rook
But
f7, rook a7,
rook a7 is completely winning.
Yeah.
No, there's several ways of winning this position.
Yeah, rook f7 followed by, I think rook a7 and bishop takes g6 should be
enough.
More than enough.
Yeah, this bishop on a8 is pretty dead.
Yeah.
Rook a7 was played as expected, rook here.
And bishop g6,
bishop
as
g6.
expected.
Yeah.
And yeah, this should be completely lost.
You can't even play bishop c6 because
well,
bishop f5.
He went bishop f7, check,
f7
but it
first,
doesn't.
even more
He just picks up material immediately because knight g6 is
knight
mate.
g6.
Actually mate on the board.
It's not made on the board, but it's good enough.
Yeah, it's not, but yeah, sorry. So a comprehensive victory for Magnus there.
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
Yeah, who took a quiet position, and in the maneuvering phase, he was improving his, whilst Yuengi was burning time and not doing very much at all, and it ended up in a very, very nice victory with a direct attack on the king's side.
We're being told that 3 of Carlsen's 4 losses at the World Blitz came as white. Well,
and he should have lost another one to me, but didn't. Very sad.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda. And we are going to follow up with the Magnus playing the black side against Yuengi, who is in a must-win situation in order to continue the match.
Yeah, we'll continue
our
coverage until they come back. There shouldn't be a very long break. We don't know exactly how long this is, so we will check and let you know. But the game. As a player, I would prefer for the game to start immediately, but I don't know how they feel about it. For me, breaks between blitz games were always sort of unwelcome.
Yes,
I always felt that you get into a kind of a flow as a blitz player, and if there's like a 10-minute game and then a 10-minute break, it makes no sense. And this is, for instance, what happens during the World Blitz, but they can't avoid it because it's a huge, big open tournament, and they need to make pairings.
Yes.
But here there are no pairings. There are no pairings to be made, so it should be a reasonably brisk restart.
We're being told that it's going to be a 5-minute break between the games, so we have a little bit of time to cover what happened in the game. And Peter, tell us, what was the decisive break in this position?
I think if you take the position after move 15a4 and look at where black pieces are, and then you look at the position here, if anything, I think black sort of made his position worse, and this is
especially putting the bishop on a8.
Yeah, this is 10 moves in a row, during which black basically played a7, a5, killing off his own queen side. Played rook e8, rook f8, shuffled the knight of f6, d7, f6, d7.
He just did nothing.
Yeah, and in that time, Magnus managed to improve his king side, bring the rook to e1, actually in 2 tempi. That is with white having played rook c1 and then E1. Corrected himself and played rook e1.
Well, actually, even the trade cd4, ed4, I think it helped white.
It did help white, but on the other hand, by this point, I think mainly you have to, without taking anything from a very, very nice victory by Magnus in this game, you have to slightly feel for Yuengi here, because he had about a half an hour break after an incredibly difficult game he played with the completely different time control. And adjusting to a new time control, especially when the difference is so stark, is, I think, this was one of the major reasons why he found himself in as much of a troubled situation. He just played too slowly. I think it sounds simplistic, but when you're playing against Magnus, falling too far behind on the clock,
he felt way too far behind.
Very often completely fatal.
Right. So score is 1-0 to Magnus Carlsen. As I said, we have a small break here, but
there's a small break. You see the board, and the players are perhaps catching a breath and thinking about what they want to do. And as you see, this tiebreak has not attracted too many players back to the playing hall, but they're all, I guess, watching our brilliant coverage in their rooms, and who can blame them?
Hi guys.
Yes. Hello. It will restart in about, I guess, 3 minutes' time, with Magnus needing a draw with black to win the entire event. Yeah, it's a nice situation to be in. And Yuengi really needs to recover and remember that it's blitz. I think I think he was really in the scenario that you have this 30-second increment, and this is not a 30-second increment. It's 3 seconds. in the days when tie breaks and World Cups were still played on the same day, I remember how difficult it was to even adjust between, let's say, a 25-minute rapid game and a blitz game later in that day.
I remember those.
And switching between classical and blitz is hard.
It's very difficult.
It's hard. So I think he should just keep on telling himself, I must play faster.
Yeah.
And trust himself to make the right moves, because he is a very strong player and a very good intuitive player, and he should just remind himself, make a conscious effort to remember that the time control is not forgiving.
Yeah, he's in a must-win situation. He really needs to pick himself up. Can he do it? Let's take a look. We got Magnus Carlsen, the world champion,
is back at the board.
Right.
And Yuengi is still
preparing.
Yeah, preparing mentally more than anything, because I don't think opening will matter very much. It didn't really in this game, because Magnus did not play the most challenging of openings, and then went on this strange walkabout with the bishop f4, g3, h4, g5, f4, h2, and even this didn't really matter in the end, because his position was so solid that once he started improving, it improved drastically very, very fast.
Being told that in the one black blitz game that he lost at the World Blitz, the opening was a knight f3, d5,
d4, a6. And
we have the
Yuengi goes d4, knight f6. I don't think there will be any sort of show-off openings in this game from Magnus. I think he understands that he needs to take this seriously, play his main lines, knight c3, bishop b4. So we have a nimzo.
Straight up into the nimzo, yeah.
Knight f3, and he can now switch to the Ragozin, but he goes b6, keeping with the nimzo theme. I'm sorry, e3. Yeah, this is still heavily theoretical, and black has various approaches here. Bishop b7, bishop d3. You can take on c3 and switch to those types of structures, or you can play castles and then perhaps follow it up with d5.
Right.
Castles is on the board. And now I think is the principal choice. And Magnus goes c5, which is something I did not mention, but is also very possible. Sometimes, white plays with knight a4,
right,
forcing the capture on d4, takes.
This is all well known, still rook
e8, the bishop returns to f8, black plays d6, knight d7, g6, bishop g7.
I think they tried to make c5 work at some point, but it didn't quite.
Yeah. a3, the bishop returns all the way to f8, of course. Yeah, this position I think is considered to be, it's a complicated position, but
it's supposed to be okay for
As far as I know, it's supposed to be okay for black.
Yeah, that's what I
d6, bishop takes f3 and knight c6. This is a very concrete approach, actually.
Okay.
I was expecting d6, but Magnus...
I think he knows what he's doing.
He probably actually knows the theory in this position. I expect him to play knight c6 here, otherwise it's hard to justify giving up this proud bishop on b7.
And I guess there's problems defending the d4
Yeah, I guess bishop e3, e5 is simply, everything comes off, I guess. Followed by d5, knight e5, take on d3 and d5, and just everything comes
Just
off.
to exploit the light. We have the live game on the blue screen on the bottom left, but this is the analysis we're doing. Here e5 forces white
more
to
or less
take,
forces
because e4 is a big threat. But if you take, and let me do something like this.
Yeah, I think this
takes
is
and d5.
Takes and d5. This should be very hard for black to. I mean, c5. If not for c5, it would be completely equal. But after c5, I have a feeling black should still be doing quite well.
Yeah.
And also, he can play d5 earlier. Actually, it's probably more precise to play d5 one move earlier.
Instead of
taking on d3, because you then create a threat of d4, forcing white more or less to take on d5.
Yeah.
And then you will swap everything down.
Yeah, I agreed.
So it seems like Yuengi finds himself in a situation where
he doesn't want to allow anything like this, but how to defend
how to stop it. If you play queen e3, I think d5 might be very strong.
He goes d5.
He goes d5 straight away, but then I think e d5, c d5, knight e5, I would say is probably maybe slightly better for black.
You still you now have a target, the bishop's going to come to d6.
I mean, if we're at all interested in the objective assessment,
I
would probably pick black if I had to pick a side. There's also knight d4 in this position, which could be interesting.
And he does take, and
but this is the simplest.
Knight
e5. You force white to capture, because otherwise, I think he loses material. Queen g3, knight h5 is very strong.
He goes queen d1, which actually preserves the material.
Yeah, but knight g3, and there's rook e4. I think the game might be over, actually.
Yes.
And Yuengi just noticed that
rook e4 hangs a piece.
Yeah, I think we could have a rather brief conclusion to the entire affair, because that's a whole piece.
Yeah, and I can go ahead and say that Magnus Carlsen is the winner of the.
Don't do it. Don't do it. We will be found, drawn and quartered if something goes from here.
But okay, this is
Queen d3, rook e4. You can sort of catch it on a4. Let's just show this because nothing else to discuss. Like bishop g5, rook a4, b4, but a5 just frees it up. No. a5 followed by a b4, and you support it by the other rook.
It's not even close to being trapped.
The game is just over. Yeah, especially considering that, I mean, it's over. Even if he didn't need to win it, the game would be completely dead.
Yeah.
So in the end, seems like a comprehensive victory for Magnus Carlsen in the tie-break.
Yeah, 16 moves only, and okay, Black is completely winning already in this position.
A bit of an anticlimax in our second game, but the first one was a very nice one.
Interesting, yeah.
The first one was very nice, but the second one is perhaps regrettable for the purists. But
such is life.
Magnus will take it.
Yeah,
I'm
think so.
I'm pretty sure Magnus will take it. He doesn't really care, and no one else would either. I mean, a win is a win. Yuengi is I mean, you can play knight c3, g3, and drive it towards g4, but you're never ever capturing it. It's just a full piece.
It's a full piece. I mean, it doesn't matter which variation. There's not even a slightly bit of compensation for it.
Yes, I think this is more or less a wrap, frankly. And I understand it's unpleasant for Yuengi to just resign.
But
you feel slightly ridiculous. But yeah, it's gone.
No, yeah, it's gone.
The thing is gone, and this being a blitz game, he doesn't even have much time to debate the question with himself.
No.
A bit of a sad conclusion to a fantastic tournament by Yuengi.
No, definitely.
Let's restate this. I mean, he is definitely a hero of both of these events. He won it last year, beating Vladimir Kramnik with white in a must-win game in round 9, and this year he once again beat a 27.
Yeah, he'd be one of the top 10 players in the world. Yeah.
Beating a 27-75 player on demand in the last round.
Yeah, he had a monstrous 28-63 performance in this tournament, and that's really amazing.
But in the end, it will be Magnus Carlsen who wins the Qatar Masters 2015. I did it once, and I think I can sort of safely do it again now because seriously,
this one seems pretty over.
This one is a bit.
This one's too much.
And
in this one, your co-host agrees. So.
Yeah, you were trying to warn me in the previous time, and I went ahead and said it anyway.
There's the
there
resign.
You see, there's the handshake, and the
tournament resigns. Magnus Carlsen finishes as the winner of the Qatar Masters 2015. Strong performance, dominated the Blitz.
Absolutely dominated the Blitz, and also did extremely well in the classical, playing after the draw in the first round,
and actually, we did have a lot of players show up to the playing hall, but I think they were left away from the board.
Yeah, they weren't simply allowed close to the board. You can see them in the shot now, so I was wrong on that. Yeah, a very, very convincing performance from Magnus, and a heroic performance in a way by Yuengi, who once again did all he could. But it wasn't quite enough in the Blitz.
He played a 5.5-hour game earlier today,
and a very, very difficult one with lots of very, very tough decisions.
He'll still be happy with this tournament, of course.
Although of course you feel a little bit of what if there.
Yeah, as you mentioned earlier, it's not nice to finish the tournament in a loss, and even though it's a Blitz tiebreak.
I think he will not have to work very hard to convince himself that he actually finished the tournament on a win, and this is
that's true.
This is just extraneous, because he did beat Wesley So in a very, very interesting game.
Absolutely.
Just 1 hour previously. So a great performance by him, but Magnus Carlsen is a deserved victor of this edition of the Qatar Masters.
No, he did amazing. I mean, after round 1, his tournament was pretty impeccable, I would say.
Yeah, I would say so. He did not go on as much of a rampage as, let's say, Anish Giri and Vladimir Kramnik did last year.
Yeah.
But he kept on winning games at crucial intervals. And in particular, I think it was, as he mentioned himself, it was very important for him to win in round 8 to make sure that in round 9 he wasn't in a situation where he needed to win on demand against somebody like
Vladimir Kramnik,
who he actually ended up playing against.
And we see the final standings here. Carlsen wins the tournament playoff over Yu Yang-yi, 7 points out of 9 for both of them. Vladimir Kramnik is actually 3rd place. 4th place will go to Sergei Karyakin. 5th place goes to Syugirov. 6th place to Nihua, and 7th place to Vasily Ivanchuk. All of them tied with 6.5 out of 9, but of course, due to tiebreak, they are actually ordered a little bit different than we see on the screen.
Yeah, and a large tie for for further places as well, of course.
Yeah, which are also important. I mean, Giri does get 8th place, and actually Su got 9th due to his amazing performance rating.
So a very exciting tournament to comment on. I think we were very privileged to witness all this exciting chess.
We had so much action every day. Yeah. And
it seems like Magnus will not be joining us for the second time in one day because he's now busy giving interviews to all the people who want to interview him, rightly. So, and also maybe we did not, me in particular, didn't do us very many favors in the race to that interview. So for us, I think it's pretty close to a wrap.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure working with you.
Same here. Enjoyed it greatly. I hope you also liked watching us for the past 9 days. And with this, you can see the final report, pictures, and everything else.
The website is over there, QatarMastersOpen.com. And thanks for joining us, guys.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
Chess.com is about playing. At any moment, there are thousands of people from around the world playing on Chess.com. So whether you're a total beginner or a grandmaster, you'll find a game quickly with someone at your level. You can play at any pace, from 1-minute bullet to 5-minute blitz to 60-minute games. Or you can play more relaxed games where you have several days to make your move. There are tournaments starting every few minutes. Or you can play against our customizable coaching computer. Chess.com is for learning. Chess isn't just about playing, it's about getting better. Chess.com puts the best training tools at your fingertips. Sharpen your game with over 50,000 tactics puzzles. Improve your strategy with training videos by top grandmasters. Get instant feedback after your games with real-time computer analysis. Regardless of where you're at now, you can take your game to the next level. Chess.com is for sharing. Join the community where you can discuss chess ideas in the forums and follow the latest chess news. Or join a club with friends and play in a league against other clubs. You can find all this in your browser at home and at work, or on the go with your phone or tablet. Signing up is free and easy. So what are you waiting for? Enjoy your game.